right?
Haribo. So we're reading the different qualities, and we stop at a particular quality. Prabhupada goes through all the 64 qualities, and he goes into great depth into each and one of them. There's so much we can impart to our devotional service. If we know, like there's a saying, if you see the sun, you see yourself. So similarly, if you know these eternal qualities of Krishna, you can see these eternal qualities manifest too in your heart, because Krishna is in your heart. Not that we are Krishna, but we qualitatively we are Krishna. So we stopped on, we read 27, but we can read it again since I did record actually the last session. And it's the 27th quality, chapter, which chapter, 21?
I don't know.
It's in the beginning, if you just flip a few pages.
Yeah. 22.
22. Who would like to volunteer to read first?
I can read 27.
Yeah, self-satisfied.
Okay. Number 27, self-satisfied. The person who is fully satisfied in himself, without any hankering, and who is not agitated, even in the presence of serious cause for distress, is called self-satisfied. An example of Krishna's self-satisfaction was exhibited when he, Arjuna, and Bhima went to challenge Jarasandha, the formidable king of Magadha.
Magadha.
And
I
Krishna
promised to check actually who else is from Magadha, and I forgot, but I'm going to do it while you're reading. Please, sorry, Prabhu.
No, you're good. The formidable king of Magadha, and Krishna gave all credit to Bhima for the killing of Jarasandha. From this, we can understand that Krishna never cares at all for fame, although no one can be more famous. An example of his not being disturbed was shown when Shishupal began to call him ill names. All the kings and Brahmins assembled at the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Yudhisthira became perturbed and immediately wanted to satisfy Krishna by offering nice prayers. But all these kings and Brahmins could not discover any disturbance in Krishna's person.
Nice. Yeah, we were discussing the other day, don't remember what it was, but how high of values people had even during critical times like war, like the descriptions in the Krishna book of this fight between Bhima and Jarasandha, when Krishna went they went, anyone remembers why they went there to fight Jarasandha?
Why they went there to fight Jarasandha?
Like, why did they? Krishna already was fighting him like 17 times, and every time Jarasandha lost. But there was a specific reason why they went to him that time to finish him. Anyone remembers? If not, it's okay too. You can say you don't remember.
You don't remember.
So it's connected to the Rajasuya sacrifice. Maharaj Yudhishthira was about to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice to be elected as the chief of all, the emperor of the world. And to do that, it's not that the emperor of the world just takes over the world. No, he has to get an agreement from everyone in the world, from all the provinces, from Russia, Europe, Germany, USA, from all the other countries. And if someone doesn't agree, he has to fight him. So there were two, or one of them, either way, Jarasandha, he wasn't in agreement with Yudhishthira being the king. And he had to go to Magadha and fight him. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else from Magadha.
I thought it was Bhima killed him.
Bhima, I didn't say Bhima.
Yeah, but you said then Yudhishthira was supposed to. You said he was supposed to go fight him.
Yeah, either way of the parties,
Yeah.
they're supposed to like retaliate.
Yeah. Okay.
So
even if the representative of the king can kill him, and that
guess so.
representative gives himself to the king, then it's good, just as good, I guess.
I guess so. So yeah, he went to retaliate that. And during that battle, they were fighting for like 28 days or something crazy like that. And every night after the battle was done, they would sit and they would joke and drink and play chess and cricket. I don't know, whatever they would play there. And it just shows how detached they were from the bodily construction, body formalities, you know, like they were both fighting and to death. You know, it's not that they were playing around really. Every day they would give their best. And there was a specific connotation there in the dynamic between the warriors. So they were almost equal. And at the end, actually, Krishna had to like help Bhima to cheat a little bit. Jarasandha means one who is constructed from two parts or something of his body or whatever. And the story of Jarasandha, that the king, he threw him away actually because he was born like in mutation. He was born half of his body was born, and this witch picked him up, and the witch put him together, and he came back to the palace and he became the prince again. And but no one knew actually about that this Jarasandha was like half separated when he was born. Only Krishna knew that, because Krishna knows everything. And he gave a clue to Bhima when they were fighting in the last day, because Krishna was already, come on man, just finish him. So he showed him, he took a stick. You can imagine that this is a stick, and from the stick there are two more sticks that come. And he showed him that if you take this and you break it, he's gonna be finished. He like gave him like an inspiration like that from behind the scenes. And Bhima just left everything. He took one of his legs, the other leg he was holding with his feet, and separated him. And there's a very illustrative description how he was separated into one testicle on one side, one kidney on one side, one eyeball, one very illustrative. And yeah, but kind of this steady fast. I remember last time we sat down, we kind of mentioned how Prabhupada connects this steady fast to having no fame, right? What is it? From this we can understand that Krishna he never cares for fame, although no one can be more famous, right? And it's such a huge renunciation. Like I know, like there are so many like Hollywood actresses that they're famous for not pretending to be famous all the time. Like there's this guy, like I know, like this guy from The Matrix, I forgot his name, but he like still rides the subway in New York, and he donated like almost all the money he earned from The Matrix and things like that. And it's one thing to like renounce when you don't have anything, like me, but when you have something, you know, go and renounce that. And that's why actually Prabhupada says that karma yogis, like let's say householders who dedicate a portion of their salary towards Krishna consciousness, especially in Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga there are many so-called brahmacharis, also so-called grihastas, but specifically the renounced order of life is so actually full of hypocrisy that in Kali Yuga actually, especially it's considered that someone who is a karma yogi is much more elevated than someone who like lives in a temple and just serves the whole day, but actually he just sleeps and eats and he's not actually doing anything. It's just like a masquerade of his propensity to enjoy. And Prabhupada writes it specifically in a letter. He expresses that someone who is dedicating the result, because you know he earns the Lakshmi. We don't actually in Krishna consciousness we don't call money or salary or whatever. We say Lakshmi because Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune. And for the money, when we say money, it's like Durga. I think we spoke about the difference between Durga and Lakshmi a few times. That Durga, she is the chastising element of material creation. That she holds tight the material creation and chastises everyone so he doesn't run away. Govindamadi Purushanta Maham Bhajami. And but devotees, because even just by addressing money, Lakshmi, not Durga, the money is the source of their fortune. And the fortune not just comes and goes, the fortune remains. Why? Because fortune is like the chanchala. Money is chanchala. Sometimes you have money, sometimes not. But where is chanchala always resting? On the chest of Vishnu, of Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, of Krishna. Lakshmi, she's resting. So that's the trick. If someone wants fortune, he has to worship Lakshmi. It's not that some people don't worship money. Everyone worships money to a certain extent. Like we go to work, 80% of the population, I heard, they go to work that they don't even like. You know why? Because of the money. Money is a very worshipable thing. But the money goes away. So how to keep the money not chanchala, not going here and there, is by putting it next to Krishna on the chest of Vishnu. And then the fortune is always there with the devotee. So I kind of lost the thread what I was at all speaking about. But anyways, yeah, it's a great pastime that deprecated this to be self-satisfied. And yeah, Krishna is such a beautiful example of that. God himself, he creates everything and he's not even enjoying it here. You know, like we create something, we build a little house or what a house, we build, I don't know, like build this violin, you know, and like we're like so careful of not giving that to anyone to touch and not even to look. And, you know, we're so caring, you know. So imagine Krishna, he is the proprietor of everything and still he's not even here to enjoy that. It's like so magnanimous. Hare Krishna.
Wow.
Yes, Danielle?
No, I really appreciate that description of, what did you say, chanchala, not letting the money go here and there.
Yeah. Sometimes they call also a woman chanchala. A woman without a husband is chanchala.
Well.
Or like a lightning. Prabhupada gives a description in the autumn chapter. Beautiful. That's my favorite chapter in the Krishna book, description of autumn. And the whole social, economic, family construction is described through nature, which is so, so inspiring and beautiful. So the description of a woman is there too, that sometimes a woman without a husband is like a lightning. You see the lightning here and then the lightning there and then jumps from one and another. So it's restless, chanchala. There's too a very nice verse of Chanakya Pandit. He says, the night is decorated by the moon. The moon makes the night beautiful, the full moon. And there are more descriptions. It's like very, very illustrative. But a woman, she's decorated by carrying husband and vice versa. So, yeah. It's this book Prabhupada quotes a lot. It's called Chanakya Pandit, Nitai Shastra. Prabhupada uses that a lot. There is this website I can send you if you like. I can share in the mailing list of different Prabhupada saying that he quoted not from the Vedic literatures but from poets, from like Western like scholars and things like that. And like he quotes a lot, like Abraham Lincoln, for example, that you can cheat some people for all the time and all the people for some time, but you cannot cheat all the people for all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, please do send it.
Yes,
Okay, I'm gonna share it with you. Okay. Maybe Danielle, she would like to read the next one, possessing equilibrium.
I will read Possessing Equilibrium.
28.
He's it down here. I'll take Saraswati from me.
Wow.
She's getting big, right?
Yes. That's why I'm like, because I haven't seen you all for a few days, I think. So immediately you can see.
It's changed. Possessing Equilibrium, number 28. A person who is unaffected by attachment and envy is said to possess equilibrium. An example of Krishna's equilibrium is given in the 10th canto, 16th chapter, verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, in connection with his chastising Kaliya. 100
Kaliya is this big snake, if some of you remember, that he poisoned the whole Yamuna river, the whole Ganges was poisoned. And then, okay, you remember. Nice.
That one I know.
I kind of think like this tapestry is actually from there, from the Kaliya pastime, because Krishna is dancing on the water.
Oh.
Let me speak.
I didn't realize
Maybe Kaliya, she's gonna appear in the next frame.
that. Well, Kalia was being severely punished. All of his wives appeared before the Lord and prayed as follows: Dear Lord, you have descended to punish all kinds of demoniac living creatures. Our husband, this Kalia, is a greatly sinful creature, and so your punishment of him is quite appropriate. We know that your punishment of your enemies and your dealings with your sons are both the same. We know that it is in thinking of the future welfare of this condemned creature that you have chastised him. In another prayer it is said, My dear Lord Krishna, best of all, the Kuru dynasty, you are so impartial that even if your enemy is qualified, you will reward him. And if one of your sons is a culprit, you will chastise him. This is your business. Because you are the supreme author of the universes, you have no partiality. If anyone finds any partiality in your characteristics, he is surely mistaken. Wow.
It's interesting because I think that's why like the experience of like atheism or phenomena of atheism is many times one of their arguments is that why God is not fulfilling my, like he's not making everyone happy here, like why he's not partial to me, or why he is like partial, why he's like, why some children are you know, they're born with very severe type of like illness or like some cancer or things like that, and why if there's God he should not make that. But you know, that's kind of what comes to my mind, that it's like God, he's equal to everyone. You know, he actually says in the Bhagavad Gita, I make the system of Chaturvadya Mayashistam Guna Karma Vibhagasya. I divide the society in order, in spiritual and material order, and yet I'm not like the doer there. I'm not in the jurisdiction. It's just a system, you know. And to get angry on like the judge, for example, it's like it's so silly because the judge is just fulfilling the system, the law of karma. What is going to give you if you're going to get, even if you get angry on him, like what's going to happen? Nothing. That's how it works. But if you become a devotee, Krishna, he says, Sarva, no, I forgot. But he says, I envy no one. No one is like my friend, or no one is special. But if someone renders to me service, he is a friend, he is a me, and I'm a friend to him. So still, Krishna is actually partial in some circumstances, but are very intimate circumstances. Like this 9th chapter, actually, that I quoted the verse from, is the most confidential knowledge. And Krishna says in the very beginning, don't disclose this to non-devotees because they're going to misunderstand. So, yeah. Ram. If any one of you would like to share something in between, you're always welcome to. I don't want to monopolize the sharing. Keith, would you like to read the next one?
Sounds good. Any person who is very charitable.
Which one? It's
magnanimous.
Magnanimous. Okay. 29.
Important detail. Any person who is very charitably disposed is called magnanimous. When Krishna was reigning over Dwarka, he was so magnanimous and charitably disposed that there was no limit to his charity. In fact, so great was his charity in Dwarka that even the spiritual kingdom, with all of its opulence and Chintamani touchstone, desire trees and Surabhi cows, was surpassed. In the spiritual kingdom of Lord Krishna, named Gokul Vrindavan, there are Surabhi cows which give unlimited quantities of milk. There are desire trees from which anyone can take all kinds of fruits, as much as they may desire. The land is made of touchstone, which when touched to iron will transform it into gold. In other words, although in the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna, everything is wonderfully opulent. When Krishna was in Dwarka, his charity exceeded the opulence of Gokul and Vrindavan. Krishna is present, the limitless opulence of Gokul Vrindavan is automatically present.
Goloka, just to point it out.
Oh, Goloka, yeah. Gokul, that's a place in Vrindavan?
I think so. I don't want to speculate, but it doesn't say Gokul. It just says Goloka.
Yeah.
Planet of
I used to know
cows.
a devotee named Gokul, I guess. It is also stated that while Lord Krishna was living in Dwarka, he expanded himself in 16,108 forms, and each and every expansion resided in a palace with a queen. Not only was Krishna happily living with his queens in those palaces, but he was giving in charity from each palace an aggregate number of 13,054 cows, completely decorated with nice clothing and ornaments. From each of Krishna's 16,108 palaces, these cows were given daily. Whoa. This means that 13,000...
That they were frying a lot of pakoras and ghee. That's what it means.
Yeah, less ghee. This means that 13,054 multiplied by 16,108 cows were being given in charity by Krishna every day.
Haribo.
No one can estimate the value of such a large number of cows given in charity, but that was the system of Krishna's daily affairs while he was reigning in Dwarka.
Nice. So we cannot pass this passage where Prabhupada mentions so many cows being distributed without chanting Govinda Jaya Jaya. You gonna help me? Who wants to chant Govinda Jaya Jaya? You.
If you want to sing, I'll play.
You can sing too. I don't mind. Whatever you like.
Oh, I'm okay. I'll respond.
You know this song, George? Danielle?
Govinda Jaya Jaya?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a really cool version of that of Kulak Shekhar. It's like a band. Some of you maybe know that or not, but you know Kulak Shekhar?
I heard of them.
Yeah. So it was like a hit song in the 90s. Like together, they like came from the same background of. Well, I'm kind of blacked out about these bands now. But anyways, it was like an MTV and like they had like electric guitars and tablas there. Really nice. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Adaramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Adaramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Adaramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Adaramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Done. There was actually a beat that there are two cartel beats that Prabhupada taught the devotees, and one of the beats actually Prabhupada says that it depicts how the cows will dance with Krishna in the pasturing ground. You know which beat is that?
Duplicates the cows as they're dancing in the pasture ground.
Yeah. It's in the, I think it's in Govinda Dasi's memory book of Prabhupada. When they were in Long Island, no, in New Jersey, Prabhupada told her that if you could just pass me the card, please. Yeah. Yeah, well, everyone knows this bit, but oh, now I'm blacked out on that too. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, so Prabhupada, he would say that this is how the cows would dance around Krishna. Okay, next one is religious. Krishna is religious. It's quite interesting already because who knows what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about religion?
We were on mute.
Abandon all religion.
Abandon all religion. So what the hell Krishna is saying here? Is it religious? Oh my God. Krishna didn't read the Bhagavad Gita. A person who personally practices the tenets of religion as they are enjoyed in the Shastras and who teaches others the same principles is called religious. That's interesting because actually that's the description of a Brahmana. Patan patam yajam yagyan gyana patigyaha. There are 6 traits of a Brahmana that he's not just religious himself, but he teaches others how to teach others. He accepts donations or charity and he distributes it to charity. There's a saying that the Brahmana he's poor in the morning and he's poor he's rich in the morning and then he's poor in the evening because he gives away everything that he possesses. And then he worships the deity. He worships the deity. Like now we perform all of us. We perform deity worship, either that chanting or glorifying the sacred texts. And he teaches others how to do it. Like the purpose of the Sangha is how I see it. After me or after Keith or after Dear Govinda, if we go somewhere, one of you take over and you continue the worship, So, there's going to be an examination at the end of the book. That's what I'm saying. Where are we? In fact, so great was his charity. One must act according to the religious principles, and by his personal example, he should teach others. Okay, that's the same indication. Such a person is to be understood as religious. When Krishna was present on the planet, there was no irreligion. In this connection, Narada Muni once addressed Krishna jokingly, "My dear Lord of the card boys, your bulls are the representation of religion." If some of you remember, I think Keith, you probably remember that good because your stretch, I don't know if I can speak about it, but your stretch was about that pastime with the bulls, how they described their religious principles, and Kali was chopping their heads down, legs down.
Yeah.
While eating grass from the pasturing ground and moving on their 4 legs, have certainly eaten up all grass of irreligion. In other words, by the grace of Krishna, religious principles were so well cared for that hardly any irreligious activities could be found. Anyone would like to finish the two paragraphs?
I'll read. It is said that because Krishna was constantly performing various types of sacrifices and was inviting the demigods from the higher planetary systems, the demigods were almost always absent from their consorts. Therefore, the wives of the demigods, regretting the absence of their husbands, began to pray for the appearance of Lord Buddha, Krishna's ninth incarnation, who appears in the age of Kali. In other words, instead of being pleased that Lord Krishna had come, they began to pray for Lord Buddha, who is the ninth incarnation, because Lord Buddha stopped the ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices recommended in the Vedas in order to discourage animal killing. The demigods' wives thought that if Lord Buddha appeared, all kinds of sacrifices would be stopped, and thus their husbands would not be invited to such ceremonies and would not be separated from them. Sometimes it is inquired, why don't the demigods from higher planetary systems come to this Earth planet nowadays? The plain answer is that since Lord Buddha appeared and began to deprecate the performance of sacrifice in order to stop animal killing on this planet, the process of offering sacrifices has been stopped, and the demigods do not care to come here anymore. So interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting insight into the purpose of Buddha's appearance. I mean, there are many purposes. One of them is to save the animals, to show compassion to the animals. But it seems that the real purpose is that everyone were so hyped about Krishna's appearance, especially the demigods, so they left their wives to come to earth to witness Krishna's pastimes. And the wives were angry. These women, they give so much problem in the material world. Just see.
It's a funny reason that like Lord Buddha came, because like these wives were angry and wanted to spend time with their husbands more.
Yeah, it's all material creation is disturbed by the presence of women.
By the presence of women. You say to a woman.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. We're not the body, Mataji, we're not the body.
You're being disturbing.
No, I didn't say that. He said that.
Yeah.
Chauvinist.
Yeah.
You think she's a woman? Not the body, Prabhuji.
Yes.
No, but actually, from another angle, I mean, it's great that Lord Buddha came. I mean, he saved so many animals. So I was just joking. It's not authoritative, so don't. There's no need to quoting me on that. Okay, 20 seconds. Qualities of Krishna further explained. George, you next. Save us.
Heroic is quality number 31. A person who is very enthusiastic in military activities and expert in releasing different kinds of weapons is called heroic. Regarding heroism, so it's military activities and releasing weapons. Regarding Krishna's heroism in fighting, there is the following statement. My dear killer of the enemy, just as the enemy, while taking a bath in the lake, destroys all the lotus stems within the water by swinging its trunk, so simply, by moving your arms, which are compared to the trunks of elephants, you have killed so many lotus-like enemies. Regarding Krishna's expertise in releasing weapons, when Jarasandha and 13 individuals attacked Krishna's army, they were unable to hurt even one soldier on Krishna's side, on the side of Krishna. This was due to Krishna's expert military training. This is unique in the history of military art.
Yeah, this chapter when I read this chapter for the first time, I had like a really intense desire to send it to like Tarantino or something, because there's so many like bloody scenes there. Because Krishna fought Jarasandha like 17 freaking times, and every time there would be like pools of blood from all Jarasandha's soldiers and the elephants and the animals, and that's like quite disturbing. And yet none of Krishna's like side was hurt. In fact, at some point I think Krishna even came alone, right? he didn't like even come with anyone or any weapons, and that's when he started running. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually, this brings up recently, I don't know why, but I was thinking about Alexander the Great.
Mm. He conquered India, I think, no? At some point.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't enter, well, not that far anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I mean, it's I just was just thinking, like, it's just like, for somebody that young to just cut through half the world, you know what I mean? And like, he was in the battle. He was like, he wasn't one of those like kings that would be sitting back. I was thinking about him. I was like, how is it possible that he just kind of like would lead charges and just be so successful at military art? And then because it just didn't make sense to me, like in those times with those kind of weapons that they used, and just the probability of things going wrong would be incredible. And to be so successful, I feel like it's only like Krishna's potency coming through, you know, like it's the only explanation I could think of. And I just remember thinking about this very recently, that that's the only reason why somebody in that position could have achieved such military prowess without being cut down, or, you know, to reach that level of conquering so much.
I think Prabhupada mentions him with the story with the thief. Right? That the thief, Alexander catches a thief and he wants to hang him or something, and then the thief, he smashes Alexander, and he's saying that, what's the difference between me and you? You know that one, George? Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference between me and you? You're a big thief, I'm a small thief, but you do the same thing on a bigger scale. And he released him. He was so embarrassed. Yeah, they had dignity, like even like, what, 2000, how long was like this Alexander, 2000 years ago? Like so much dignity that he will not, like if someone will actually like smash him philosophically or physically, he will be like conquered, they will not protest, they will submit. They'll be expert in making others submitting by not like dictatorship, or no, not autocritically dictating, but by love and submitting themselves. So, yeah, thank you for bringing him up, George. Compassion. Daniela, maybe you, if you're free.
Video off? Yeah, definitely.
I feel this is one of the best, so I'll give you the cream de la cream.
Wow, I feel so honored. Compassionate. 32. A person who is unable to bear another's distress is called compassionate. Krishna's compassion for the distressed person was exhibited when he released all of the kings imprisoned by Magadendra. While dying, grandfather Bhishma prayed to Krishna and described him as the sun that eradicated darkness. The kings imprisoned by Magadendra were put into dark cells, and when Krishna appeared there, the darkness immediately disappeared, just as if the sun had risen. In other words, although Magadendra was able to imprison so many kings, upon the appearance of Krishna, they were all released. Krishna released the kings out of his sincere compassion for them.
Okay, break. I have a quiz. I made up a quiz. So Prabhupada uses many times the sun analogy, like that Krishna, God, is like the sun, and then he goes to like, he extrapolates on like a similar quality. He already put like two different analogies, like that Krishna is like the sun that eradicates darkness. Would anyone like to give more examples of how Krishna is like the sun and what happens, like what is the effect, how Krishna is integrating himself into the material world and helps us to get out of illusion? I don't know, like a sun analogies of Prabhupada.
I think they said once that he can see us no matter what, no matter if we can see him, that the sun rays penetrate the globe so that he can see us anywhere.
Okay, nice. Anyone else?
There's one where the sun can evaporate water even from that dirty place.
That's what I wanted to
Urine
say.
or something like that.
Yeah, the urine
becomes pure.
And if we try, and then the second half is that if we try to evaporate the urine, we're gonna get sick. Prabhupada describes it in a very childlike way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you repeat
And-
that analogy, please, Prabhu? Can you repeat that about he evaporates water from dirty places?
Yeah, Keith,
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring it
he's
close.
like the sun can evaporate water from a dirty place, like
Urine.
and it becomes purified.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. So, Krishna's compassion was also exhibited when grandfather Bhishma was lying on a bed of arrows, which had been shot through his body. While lying in this position, Bhishma was very anxious to see Krishna, and thus Krishna appeared there. Upon seeing the pitiable condition of Bhishma, Krishna began speaking with tears in his eyes. Not only was he shedding tears, but he also forgot himself in his compassion. Therefore, instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisances to his compassionate nature. Actually, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is very difficult to approach him. But the devotees, taking advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by Radharani, always pray to Radharani for Krishna's compassion.
Jai.
See, women are important. Women are important. That's how you have to get to Krishna, through his compassion. You got to pray to Radharani. She's the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Vrindavan, actually, that's why they don't say Hare Krishna in Vrindavan, they say Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam,
Wow.
Nice.
to earn the favor of Radharani. I mean, Hare too is Radharani, but they directly go to Radharani.
What is that second part of it? Radhe Radhe, and you said Radhe
Radhe Shyam, like Shama Sundar,
Radhe Sham.
like his coward boy Krishna.
Mm.
No. Respectful. A person who shows adequate respect to a spiritual master, a brahmana, and an old person is to be understood as being respectful. When superior persons assembled before Krishna first of all offered respect to his spiritual master, then to his father, and then to his elder brother, Balaram. In this way, Lord Krishna, the lotus-eyed, was completely happy and pure at heart in all of his dealings. Oh man, I got the short one.
You can read another one.
Okay. Gentle. Any person who neither becomes impudent nor exhibits a puffed up nature is called gentle. The example of Krishna's gentle behavior was manifested when he was coming to the arena of the Rajasuya sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Yudhisthira, Krishna's older cousin. Maharaj Yudhisthira knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was attempting to get down from his chariot to receive Krishna. But before Yudhisthira could get down, Lord Krishna got down from his own chariot and immediately fell at the feet of the king. Even though Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never forgets to show social etiquette in his dealings.
Liberal. Any person who is by his natural behavior very mild is called liberal. The statement by Uddhava after the Samyantaka jewel plundering confirms that Krishna is so kind and favorable that if a servitor is accused even of great offenses, Krishna does not take it into consideration. He simply considers the service that is rendered by his devotee. Yeah, this is confirmed in another place, how when actually we do something illegal or illicit, it's written down not by Krishna but by Yamaraj. He keeps note of the bad things that we do. Krishna, he writes simply the good things. So, yep. Okay, and the next one is my favorite, Shy. I mean, that's kind of what stood up for me when we were going through all of them in the previous chapter.
Yeah.
Previous chapter. And we were kind of curious how Krishna exhibits his shyness. So here we go. Would you like to read, George?
Yes. Number 36, shy. A person who sometimes exhibits humility and bashfulness is called shy. As described in the Lalita Madhava, Krishna's shyness was manifested when he lifted Govardhan.
Right. Oh, I knew I remember that. Okay. Because we were wondering where Krishna is shy. Okay, we're going to read about it. Sorry.
Good. When he lifted Govardhan hill by the little finger of his left hand. All of the gopis were observing Krishna's wonderful achievement, and Krishna was also smiling at seeing the gopis. When Krishna's glance went over the breasts of the gopis, his hand began to shake, and upon seeing his hand shake, all of the cowherd men underneath the hill became a little disturbed. Then there was a tumultuous roaring sound, and they all began to pray to Krishna for safety. At this time, Lord Balaram was smiling, thinking that these cowherd men had been frightened by the shaking of Govardhan hill. But seeing Balaram smile, Krishna thought that Balaram had understood his mind in observing the breasts of the gopis, and he immediately became bashful. That's really funny.
This is, I don't even think, sorry?
So that's where I get it from.
I don't think it's,
breasts.
I don't think it's even in the Krishna book, but yeah, it's very nice. It's a very intimate insight into this quality, which is like, I mean, it's so hard to comprehend for me. That's why it's kind of stood up for me when we read all of the 64 at once, because I was like wondering like how God is like shy. What can make him shy? Like,
yeah, it's kind of a hidden little pastime here.
Yeah. Okay. Can read the next one. Danielle, would you like to read the next one?
Yes. Protector of surrendered souls, number 37. Krishna is the protector of all surrendered souls. Some enemy of Krishna's was enlivened with the thought that he needn't fear Krishna because if he simply surrendered unto him, Krishna would give him all protection. Krishna is sometimes compared to the moon, which does not hesitate to distribute its soothing rays even on the houses of the Chandala and other untouchables. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and in like the rigid Vedic culture, there are different sects that are underneath the Varnashram system. Like the Varnashram constituted 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And there's even below, Kirata, Pulinda, Chandala, Yavana, Mlecha. And we, like the Western people, are really, really in the bottom of that. So it's just like how merciful is Krishna through Prabhupada that he is, he gives us the escalator to become Brahmanas in one lifetime. Because if we were born like 1,000 years ago, especially before Lord Chaitanya's appearance day, like, not be able even to cast our shadow on like the Bhagavad Gita. Like, really, it's like, it's so rigid. And for both like right and wrong reasons, because, people that you need to be qualified to access this knowledge. And I think in the morning we were speaking about how one can acquire all the qualification by associating by a favor of a pure devotee. So Prabhupada really, he gives us the favor. Yeah, it's like we're getting everything on the like they say what on a silver with a silver spoon.
I think there was a passage in the Bible that says that the rain falls on the just and the wicked alike. It makes me think of this, the moon, what they're saying, the rays of the moon or the drops of rain, they're going everywhere.
Yep.
It's the same life-giving power of water. It's going to everybody. Kind of ties into equanimity. I feel like it's a little close to that, but I like this specificity of saying that even his enemies are like, well, I mean, if it gets really bad, all I have to do is surrender. And then I'll be okay. I think that's nice. Like they realize, I mean, is there a particular person who did that? Some enemy of Krishna? Like,
Well, in Lila, yeah, most of the demons, they got killed, except one.
Most of the demons get killed?
Yeah, I think so. Krishna killed all of them. Pretty much.
That's in the ones that came to Vrindavan?
Yeah,
mean-
and others too.
Oh.
Kalia.
Sorry.
Kalia! Yes.
he surrendered. That's right.
Sorry, he didn't get killed by Krishna anyway.
I don't remember them really by name.
He's the one that
My
got
memory is
smashed in
not-
the head that came as the...
Balaram
carrying-
killed him.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Yeah, Krishna, that's part of his fun. He just kills everyone. But yeah, Kalia, George, he said correctly. Kalia was the only one who he didn't kill because of the wives. The wives saved Kalia. So I think Prabhupada mentions in the same pastime how that's, a good wife. She's a gate to a door or a gate or a path to Vaikuntha, to liberation. She's a very, very helpful assistant to go back home, back to God.
That feels like a big responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel? You wanna stop and share something, or we can just read a few more points? There's some very beautiful things coming up here. Controlled by love, well-wisher of his devotee. Nice. What comes to you? Like, what is your experience reading all these qualities of God, of Krishna?
I really, especially this, the shyness really resonated with me so much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Like I can totally relate, and now I kind of know where the origin of that is. So it's because before I'd feel so awkward when I would do things like that. I mean, I've done it some millions of times in my life, like that kind of thing where like I would do something that was like silly or whatever, and then someone would smile or do something for something totally different, and I would just like assume automatically that it was, like they were in on what I had done. And anyway, but
You see the origin of this dynamic you had with other people.
yeah, especially since I have a twin brother, so it's like Krishna Balaram, like kind of like being together all the time. I kind of, so many times things like that would happen between us, just because we were always together. And yeah, it's very comforting to see all these qualities of Krishna that I normally am not even aware of. Because I tend to so much focus on like the major ones that we hear, in morning program, like, all attractive, all powerful, all these like main ones, like, and then like thinking things like shy and like, I don't know.
You have to come for the evening reading of the Nectar of Devotion.
That's right. That's it.
No. Special Rasika. Thank you for appreciating the mood.
Yeah, it's very playful. It's very like, yeah, it's nice.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And there was another one. Also that really stuck out to me, which was compassionate. Like the way that that I guess Srila Rupa Goswami described it is unable to bear another's distress.
Para dukkha dukhi. Prabhupada sometimes calls it in Sanskrit that he is distressed when others are distressed. Empathy, like a very high level of empathy. In the material world, we usually even subtly, we usually like compare others to our level of happiness, and we adjust our happiness like that. Like, oh, I'm not that bad because all these people, they're suffering.
Is that not like sympathy though? Like I always get those confused. Like
Sympathy and empathy.
because isn't sympathy like really feeling the other person's like pain? Like
What do you?
I don't know.
I guess it would be, I think sympathy, I don't know. It's kind of a subtle difference between sympathy, empathy, and what's the other one? Pity. I think sympathy is somewhere in between pity and empathy. You know, like the person is kind of down a little lower than you, I guess. Whereas empathy, you're just simply feeling their emotion with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pity is like I see somebody there. It's like kind of like a pathetic situation, and sympathy, I guess it's not really pathetic, but it's just I feel bad for you type thing. You know? Yeah. Sympathy. Yeah. Empathy is like I feel your pain. You know? Sympathy would be I feel bad for you, and pity would be like I feel bad for you and look down on you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're absolutely correct, Keith.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Ladu. Hare Krishna. Yeah, when you're here in person, we can really make ladus and give everyone ladus. So it's correct.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so inviting.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Ladus with maple syrup. That way we can eat as many as we want, and it's not.
Very Canadian of you.
Dates,
Or
dates are almost as good. Yeah.
dates and maple syrup. Okay. Hare Krishna. So maybe we read another one and see what comes up. Yeah. I don't remember who was next. Danielle, maybe, no? I think Danielle.
Hold on a second.
No, Keith, no? I don't know.
I'll take it.
Let's keep.
Happy? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any person who is always joyful and untouched by any distress is called happy. Sounds pretty nice. As far as Krishna's enjoyment is concerned, it is stated that the ornaments which decorated the bodies of Krishna and his queens were beyond the dreams of Kubera, the treasurer of the heavenly planet kingdom. The constant dancing before the doors of Krishna's palace was not to be imagined even by the demigods in the heavenly kingdom. In the heavenly kingdom, Indra always sees the dancing of the society girls, but even Indra could not imagine how beautiful were the dances being performed at the gates of Krishna's palaces. Gauri means white woman, and Lord Shiva's wife is called Gauri. The beautiful women residing within the palaces of Krishna were so much whiter than Gauri that they were compared to the moonshine, and they were constantly visible to Krishna. Therefore, one can be enjoying more than Krishna. No one can be enjoying more than Krishna. Yeah. Big difference.
Sounds better.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds philosophically wrong. The conception of enjoyment is beautiful women, ornaments, and riches. And all of these things were fabulously presented in the palaces of Krishna, defeating even imagination of Kubera, Lord Indra, or Lord Shiva. Not even a slight distress can touch Krishna. Once some of the gopis went to the place where the Brahmanas were performing sacrifices and said, "Dear wives of the Brahmanas, you must know that not even a slight smell of distress can touch Krishna. He knows no loss. He knows no defamation. He knows no fear. He has no anxiety, and he does not know calamity. He is simply encircled by the dancers of Braja and is enjoying their company in the rasa dance."
Hearing that description, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's happy.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're happy. Always joyful and untouched by any distress. Yeah, I don't meet that qualification, nor do I know anyone who does.
Yeah, I hear how you resonate with this description because, maybe you experience how even if you have some happiness for some time, because it comes to an end, it turns to the source of your suffering. And yeah, this is the nature of anything material. It's pleasurable for some time because it's gone. Same thing. The more you actually enjoy that, the more you're gonna suffer.
I'm thinking about that phrase where they say the way out is through.
The way out is through. What does it mean?
Well, like I'm thinking about in reference to happiness, like if there's something that I'm enjoying, if I want to stop enjoying it, all I have to do is engage in it. Eventually it'll be like, oh my gosh, I really want cake. I really want chocolate cake. It's going to be delicious. And in my mind, I can have like the best chocolate cake in the world. But as soon as I eat chocolate cake, maybe it's good for like a bite or 2 bites or 3 bites, but then it's gone. It like dissipates.
You reach the saturation and then
the
enjoyment turns into suffering.
I think in Savatov they say that which we resist persists. It's the same kind of concept.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me too. Yeah, I kind of connected to the last portion. Prabhupada mentions this one. I don't remember who he was. Maybe like a fella. He was from Germany and he came to research something there in India, and he was trying to understand who is God from all these different characters: Shiva, Durga, Parvati, Krishna, Vishnu, Ganesh. And he came to the conclusion that Krishna is God, not because someone told him, but he was observing this portion that Prabhupada mentions here, that Krishna, he has nothing to do really. Like he's not like working, or he's not like doing something for his enjoyment. Like if you look at, let's say, Parvati or Kali or Durga, they always like they're riding some tiger and like killing some demon, or Kali is like stepping on someone with like she has these heads full of blood, and Ganesh is like, I don't know, he's doing there something. Brahma is he's creating, And I was thinking about this thing like in the biblical scriptures, they explain that God is creating. It's like, wow, it's a big job. Like God is like really working his ass off. I don't know. It's like kind of tedious. That's like my material impression of that, but it is true in a sense because God is not the creator. He has nothing to do. Parashya Shaktir Vidayashvate Sapaviki Gyanam Balakriyacha. That he, by his multifarious energies, he already manifests everything. Svapaviki Gyanam Balakriyacha. All the energies, Bala, spreads across the universe, and it manifests through an indirect action. I don't remember how it's translated, but then he saw Govinda, like we chanted this song, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Raman Ahari, Govinda Jaya Jaya. So it describes God, Krishna, in his original state of just the supreme enjoyer who enjoys the company of his friends on the Yamuna next to the Govardhan Hill with the cows, and very pleasing atmosphere, and he's not like working for some purpose of being happy. So that's how we concluded it. Oh, Krishna, Radha Krishna, that is God. That is the really divine couple.
Is there one of these that's like expert delegator? Is that like one of his qualities in the list?
What is alligator? Galligator? What is
Yeah, expert delegator.
alligator? What is alligator?
Delegating is when you appoint someone to do a task for you.
Oh, maybe. There are like 30 more to go, so.
I'm excited to find out because it sounds like he's an expert delegator.
Yeah. I think there's a quality that he's a perfect judge of time, place, and circumstance, so maybe that's included.
Maybe that's in there, yeah.
We'll see. So, yeah, I guess we can conclude for tonight unless someone has more to share. No? Maybe Saraswati would like to share some realization.
Can I just say anything, baby?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Look at here.
as good as Tat Sandarbha.
She's very shy. We've learned this about her. She's very shy.
Right. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for the solution.
Yeah, if you free, come tomorrow evening. We're gonna do some more reading.